This is something we're trying out today. I would love at the end of this your feedback. One of the things I do encourage you to do, grab a sheet of paper and a pen if you don't have one already. There'll be a few things that I tell you along the way that it might be helpful for you to be able to jot down. One of the things I would especially like is when we're done, if you could send me just a quick email. Let me know what you got out of it. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like. Let me know if there was anything that technologically didn't work the way it was supposed to. And we'll try and find ways to make it better next time. If you do want to send me an email, it's brady@callbrady.com. That's BRADY at CALLBRADY.com. I'm also going to tell you a few things that'll help you learn a little bit more about your computer as we go. So you may want to write some notes down regarding those things. When I first started my business, I started in 2004 as kind of part-time after hours. I had been working for a help desk for a while. And at the time, you know, people in the company that I was working for would have a computer problem. They'd say, oh, call the help desk, call the help desk. And so I was on the help desk, so I got a lot of those calls. Well, sometime along the way, a lot of the help desk was actually laid off. So, and I got promoted to a different department. And so I started hearing instead, oh, call Brady. So when I ended up having the opportunity to go out on my own, that's exactly what I wanted people to think when they had computer issues. I just wanted them to think, call Brady. So that's kind of where the name came from. And that's what I encourage you to do. If you're having any computer problems, even during these times when we're trying to stay away from each other, I guess, we're trying to isolate ourselves from each other. We can do remote face-to-face meetings with something like we're using now with Zoom. We also have some other options that will allow me to remote control your system, so that can be very helpful. One other thing I will say as a reminder with Zoom is that that you are actually at all times, you may be visible to the other people that are in the meeting. So I just remind people of that. Sometimes if there's somebody else in the home that doesn't know that you're on camera, you know, they might be in the background. You want to make sure that their privacy is protected. So just wanted to make you aware of that just in case. So one of the things, we're going to go over a few different items today. First, I just want to start with going a little bit over Windows. And again, this meeting is going to be covering some general concepts, all of those concepts specific to Windows computers. I don't get involved with Apple products. I don't have the training in Apple products. I don't have the certifications in the Apple products. I do know some about their products, but not enough to provide adequate support. So we're going to be dealing specifically with Windows. One of the things I'd like you to all check on your computer real quick, and I'm going to tell you how if you don't know how, is what version of Windows you are currently running. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to do my first little screen share here so that you can see exactly what I'm seeing. But if you look down in the bottom left corner of your screen, very bottom left corner, you should see in some form or another a little Windows logo. That Windows logo, you may hear me refer to it as the start button or just the Windows flag. Now look down at your keyboard. On most keyboards, I would say 90% of the keyboards I sit down to, you're going to see the same little Windows logo. So again, if you're looking at your space bar, a couple of keys to the left of that, you should see an icon that looks very similar to that icon in the bottom left corner of your screen. If I press that button on my keyboard, you'll see what pops up. If I click it on the screen, you'll see what pops up. Exact same thing, right? So what I want each of you to do is press that start button. And again, you can only see my screen. I cannot see your screen. But when you press the start button, I Don't want you to click anywhere else. I just want you to start typing, and I want you to type in WinVer. All one word, just WINVER. That's short for Windows version. Now on my screen, it's going to pop up and it's going to tell me that I'm on Windows 10. I would expect everybody here, we're probably either going to see Windows 7, Windows 8.1, or Windows 10. The other thing I want you to look at while we're in this screen, if you're on Windows 10, I want you to look at where it says version. That should be that second line there. I encourage you to write that information down. What version of Windows, and then what specific release you're on. Let me tell you a little bit about what that means. So first off, you've probably heard, if you are on a Windows 7 system, it's no longer supported. Windows 7 went out of support sometime last year, I believe in April of last year. So what that means is that new releases are not coming out for Windows 7. Some of the web browsers and things like that are no longer supported. So if you are currently on Windows 7, I highly encourage you to consider replacing your computer. There are some instances, especially if your computer's only 2 to 3 years old, we may be able to work towards upgrading your existing computer. But most computers that are older than that, maybe a 5-year-old or older computer, typically you're not going to have the components in the system to be able to upgrade it to Windows 10. So if you're on Windows 8, good news, you've still got another year or two before that goes out of support. If you're on Windows 10, fantastic. I want to tell you what this version means. You're probably going to see most folks that I sit down with right now have either a version that starts with 18 or 19. What that means is 2000. So I'm looking at version 1903. What that means is 2019 March. Okay, so if you've got, say, 1909, then you're the 2019 release that came out in roughly September. Now those months are a little bit off. Sometimes they might refer to the 1909 as the October release, or it's the numbers vary a little bit differently. But what's important here is if you're looking at a version that's 16 something, then you're on a version that's out of date, and you will start to experience some issues with that. I would say as long as you're within about a year, so again, I'm looking at 2019 March, this is okay to be on. If we get much away from March, if we get too far away from March, then I might start looking at, hey, I need to make sure that my updates are working properly so that I get the most current version. Those versions just include security updates, fixes, releases, things like that that can help the computer be more secure in this environment. If you will, just send me another quick chat message and just let me know what version you're on. Again, if you're on Windows 10, 7, or 8, and then also just let me know if you are on Windows 10, tell me what that version number was there where it says, for example, mine says 1903. Let's see here. Okay, and I think the chat is something that I'm going to have to continue to work on a little bit to learn more about, because so far I'm not seeing any messages come in. So if you will, just if you have sent one, just make sure that you, I see one from Cindy there, 1903, good. You're on the same version that I'm on. And again, if you send me a message, you can just tell me the version. I can see the names associated with each. Okay, and I'll continue to look a little bit more into some of the information about chat, so I can maybe give some better direction. So the other thing, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. The other thing I want to point out, this Windows key, or this Windows icon down in the bottom left corner of the screen, and the Windows key that's on your keyboard, in all actuality is the most powerful key on your keyboard. Personally, it's the one I probably click more than anything else on the entire keyboard. And most of the time when I sit down with folks and they take a look at that, they say they've never even noticed that it was there, or didn't really know what it was for. Here's the other thing I want you to try. Press that start button again. And again, I like to use the one on the keyboard. So if I press that start button and then I just start typing in calc for calculator, there's my calculator. So what I tell people with that is, if there's something that's here on the computer and you just don't know where to find it, that's how you find it. Press the start button and then just start typing. So again, I'm just going to reach up here to the keyboard. I'm going to hit my start button. I'm going to start typing in the word Word. And there's my Microsoft Word. So if I just press enter right now, it's going to launch that program for me. If somebody tells me that I need to change the screen resolution on my system, and I think, boy, that sounds complicated. It's not. Press the start button, start typing in the word resolution, and there's change the resolution of the display. If I know that somewhere on this computer I have a recipe, and the only thing I can remember about that recipe is it has almonds in it, press start and start typing in the word almonds, and there's the almond cake recipe. Now, don't ask me for the recipe because that's actually just a blank file I created right before we started this, but I just wanted to show you that as an example of how quickly I have people call me up, hey, I know I've got this file on my system, but I can't find it anywhere. Seconds is all it should take for you to be able to get to that. Now, with that, notice when I type in almond, only this one up here is actually on my computer. When I look down here, notice I have this header here that says search the web. So if I were to click on any of these others, almond, almond flour, almond milk, all of these different things, that's actually surfing the internet. So if I click on almond flour, it's going to open up a browser and do a search using the Bing browser. Bing is just, one of those competitors with Google. So it's a quick way to get to that type of search as well. Let's say that you wanted to know how tall is Donald Trump. You could click on the start button and just type in how tall is Donald Trump. You'll notice before I even press enter, it's going to show me the answer to that question and also maybe some other people that I might be interested in. So I find that fascinating that you can do that so quickly and not even really have to open up a browser to get that information. So so that's something that I really encourage you to explore some, because any file, any setting, any program that you have on your computer is just a click and a type away. And again, if I want to get out of that screen, if I didn't actually want to launch Word, I can just click somewhere else here on the screen and it's going to close that little window back. So, okay, bear with me just 1 second here. I see I've got a few more folks who have joined the meeting, and I want to just take a moment to welcome all of you. I definitely see some familiar faces. It's good to, or some familiar faces, and I also see some familiar names on here. So it's excellent to have you here. And so again, welcome, and I hope you'll find something in this that you'll find useful. Now, what I did before I started in this meeting was I just created a new user profile. And the reason I did that is I didn't want you to see just a whole bunch of my customizations and my programs and things like that. I wanted this to be a fairly basic environment to start with. One of the things that you can take a look at is if I minimize everything that I have open right now, you'll notice that down here at the bottom of the screen, I have some icons. Now, for a lot of folks, the icons that show up down here are just the icons that Dell or Lenovo or whoever your computer manufacturer is, maybe the logos that they put onto your computer when you first got it. And you may look down here and go, okay, I never use this icon, for example, for the Microsoft Store. So if you have an icon down here that you don't use, clean it up. And here's how you're going to do that. I'm going to click with my right mouse button, right click on Microsoft Store, and I have an option there that says unpin from taskbar. Is that uninstalling it? Is that getting rid of it forever? If I make a mistake and unpin the wrong thing, is that going to cause problems? No. It's just gonna clean it up so that your taskbar is a little bit more organized for the things that you want and the things that you need. So once I click unpin from taskbar, it's gone. This is the mail program that's built into Windows 10. Not a fan of it, not at all. It's problematic to work with. They don't allow you to save lists of people to send emails to. I've had a lot of clients really struggle with it. When I've used it some, I really struggled with it. So again, I'm just going to right click here and say unpin to get rid of that. Let's see here. Okay, now I'm seeing a little bit more. Dot, I saw a message from you that says I've been bumped out. You're back in though? Just give me a little wave. Give me a thumbs up if you're back in. All right. Hold on one second. Can you hear me? All right. I can hear you at the moment. I've got you unmuted for just a moment, so I just wanted to
Okay. Sure. Yeah. You are just a very tiny window here.
Oh, okay. Yes, right now that's how I've got it set.
You've got it set. Okay, that's correct. Okay.
Anytime that I'm showing you something on my screen, I'm just going to be.
And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it on my screen. I'm not seeing what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. So right there, do you see the start area?
Start Zoom right here?
Yes. So when I press my start button, this little Windows flag down here at the bottom left corner of the screen, you're going to see the programs that I have installed. You're going to see a little pop-up like this. So do you see like where my mouse is right now? I'm over Office, Microsoft Edge.
No, I'm seeing a thing here, phone call with an arrow. And then everything else is black after start Zoom and the two little things at the top. Everything's covered up with black.
Hold on one second for me. Can anybody else confirm that? Give me a little wave if you're, let's see, Marge, I'm going to talk to you for just a second. Are you seeing everything?
Yes.
Okay, so you're seeing the screen normally. Dot, if you're still having problems, you may want to just possibly close out of the meeting for a moment and rejoin. I do see you. I see your video and everything. And like right now on my screen, I've got a second monitor pulled up so I can see what's going on. You should see right now just pretty much a basic desktop with my recycle bin, my Google Chrome, and my Microsoft Edge. That's about all you should see right now.
Okay. Should I put share screen? Should I hit share screen?
No, you won't. You won't be able to share your screen. That would share what you're seeing with everybody else.
Okay. Leave meeting. Okay, I will leave the meeting and try to come back.
All right, sounds good. I hope to see you soon.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so if you do end up taking some of these icons and removing them, just as easily you can take some of these icons and add them back in. So for example, I use Google Chrome as my primary web browser. And we're going to talk a little bit more about browsers here in just a moment. But if I right click on my Chrome icon, I have a lot of options that show up here that do a variety of different things. But the one that I'm going to click on is the one that says Pin to Taskbar. So for a program that I use all the time, I like to have it sitting down here, easy to get to. And so I'm going to pin it to my taskbar. So now it's just one click away. I can always open Chrome very quickly. Let me show you that with one other program for just a moment. I'm going to go back to my start, and I'm going to click in Calc, type in Calc, and here's Calculator. This time I'm not going to left click on it. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to select Pin to Taskbar, and there it is. So now Calculator is always very easy for me to get to. I don't have to go searching for it each time. I don't even have to hit my Windows button. I can just click on it, and it'll open right up for me. Let's see here. Bear with me one moment here. Okay. I am seeing, again, a little bit more about how all the chat information works. So, Mike, I see you joined us a little while ago. I hope you're able to see us, and I hope everything's coming through for you okay. I do see your window, and that's one other thing, just so everybody knows here. You do not have to join these meetings with your camera active. It's totally fine. I enjoy seeing your faces. It makes me feel like I'm not just sitting here talking to my computer, which I'll have to admit I sometimes do, but it's much more fun to be able to see your faces and see some kind of reaction when I'm talking about these things. So again, it's up to you how you join the meeting. If you join it with or without a camera is totally optional. I do encourage you, if you're going to be using Zoom at all for communicating with family, definitely turn on your camera, because your family really wants to see your faces. If you are somebody that is not using a camera right now because you don't have a camera, I'm afraid I have some bad news. Cameras are very, very hard to get right now. A customer earlier today just asked me, where can I go to buy a camera? And I said, well, let me look online. I'll find you a model real quick that I can recommend. We couldn't find anywhere that has cameras in stock right now, webcams. Most laptops today have a webcam built into the top of them, up in that top frame of the laptop. Also, all-in-one computers, those big computers that are the monitor with the computer built into it, so you don't have a tower sitting down on the floor. Most of those also have a webcam built into them. But if you are on a standard desktop computer and need a camera, it might be a little bit difficult right now. You may want to go ahead and get one on order, though, so that when they do come in stock, you're able to get them. So let's talk a little bit about browsers. For most of us, this is the main thing we do when we turn on our computer, is we want to get out on the internet. We want to either send email, receive email. There are a few browsers that most of us are familiar with. If you're on Windows 10, one of the ones we're probably most familiar with is this light blue E with the yellow swirl around it, Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer, again, it's built into your computer, but I don't recommend using it. If that's the one you're currently using, it's a good idea to start migrating some of your settings, migrate your use to a different browser. The reason for that is when Windows 7 went out of support, so did Internet Explorer. They're not coming out with new updates for it. It's no longer secure. It's no longer going to be very well tested. And so even though a lot of folks still use it, and some websites do still require it, I don't recommend using it unless you absolutely have to. If there's some website that you go to on a regular basis and they say, oh, yep, we still work best with Internet Explorer, then just go to those websites in Internet Explorer, but stick with one of the others for everything else that you do. The other browser that's built into a Windows 10 computer, this icon looks very similar to Internet Explorer, but it's not. This is actually Microsoft Edge. You can see the icon up here on my desktop, and you can see it down here on my taskbar. Edge is a more secure browser from Windows 10 from Microsoft, but a lot of folks don't find it to be as user-friendly as Chrome, which we'll talk about in a moment. Now, Edge, if it's between Internet Explorer and Edge, then Edge is the one I definitely would recommend. Now, if you currently are using either Internet Explorer or Edge, and you want to download Google Chrome, which is what I call the beach ball icon. So this little red, green, and yellow icon down at the bottom of the screen, that's Google Chrome. This is hands down my favorite. It's secure, it's user-friendly. So if you're interested in getting it, if you don't already have it, then what the site you want to go to is google.com/Chrome. And so notice I just typed that right into my address bar. So as soon as I press enter, it's going to take me to that site. And I want you to kind of pay attention to what this screen looks like. If you get to anywhere else that you have an opportunity to download Chrome, I don't encourage you to do it. I discourage you from downloading from anywhere except for google.com/Chrome. Now, here's the reason for that. If I did a search right now for Google Chrome, I could probably find 1,000 websites that I could download Google Chrome from, but only from the google.com website am I going to get the current version that's supported by Chrome, that's supported by Google, and that does not have a bunch of extra junk software built into it. So let's say that I did that Google search and I just Google Chrome here, because I typed into the address bar, not a web address like I did before, because before I typed in google.com/Chrome, so it took me directly to that website. This time I'm just typing in words, Google Chrome, with a space in between. Now when I press enter, it's actually going to do a search. Now, first thing I'm getting is advertising from Microsoft because they don't want me to switch to Google Chrome. They want me to stick with Edge. But if I were to scroll down far enough, I would probably start to find some other sites that would allow me to download Chrome. But some of these, FileHorse, Computer Hope, some of these may be totally safe, but some of them are going to be total garbage. So again, that's why I like to only go to google.com/Chrome. You'll click on download Chrome. It'll give you a little prompt before you actually install it. So down here, I get the option to run. And then I'm probably going to get a little window that pops up right here. See this little flag down here? This just means your computer is wanting to do something and it wants to get your permission. Now, it's not actually showing. I think you can see it down there at the bottom of the screen. But on the right now, my entire screen was taken over by, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? And so I'd have to click yes on that. For right now, I'm gonna tell it no because I actually already have Chrome, but I just wanted to show you real quick how you can install Chrome onto your system. The other thing you may want to do is after you have installed Chrome, like I have it here, the beach ball icon, I can set it as default. Now you may not necessarily get this little set as default window popping up. If you don't, what you can do is again, press your start button on the keyboard. We talked about that earlier. And then just start typing in the word default. And you're going to see an option that says default apps. Under default apps, you get to determine what's your default. Give me 1 second for it to load. You get to determine your default email program, which I don't have one. I just go out to a website to check my email. So right now that's set to, doesn't really matter to me what that's set to. Most of these I don't care about. What I do care about is down here at the bottom, this option for web browser. So I can just click where it says Microsoft Edge, and it tells me the browsers that I have on my system. And I'm going to go ahead and click Chrome. You may actually, when you click on Chrome, you may get one more little begging message from Microsoft that says something along the lines of, we're really good now. Are you sure you don't want to use us instead? I usually just go ahead and click switch anyway. Edge actually has made some improvements But the funny thing is they made their improvements by switching the engine that runs their browser to something called Chromium. One other browser uses the Chromium engine, and that's Google Chrome. Google Chrome has been using that one for years. So again, I prefer to stick with the one that's been doing it right for a long time. Most websites, most web developers are going to make extra sure that their website works well with Chrome because it has such a high percentage of the users are using Chrome. Now, here's something that I want to go over with you. So when I launch Chrome, my Chrome launches to a Google search page, okay? This is important, and the reason I want to go over this with you is I see a lot of people make a lot of mistakes and waste a lot of time on this screen right here. And here's how they do it. If I say to pull up the website callbrady.com, what I see a lot of people do is they come down here to the search bar and they type in callbrady.com, press enter. Now, it can bring you to my page, which I just have a little kind of general office announcement on here right now, or it can bring you to search results. What I always recommend to folks is you almost don't even need to have Google set as your main page, because everything you can do from this bar right here in the middle of the screen, you can do from this bar up here. Now, if I'm ever on the phone with you, I'm going to refer to this as the address bar. But like we talked about earlier, this is both an address bar and a search bar. So if I type in callbrady.com, then I know it's going to take me to that website, straight to the website. It'll show my little picture and my announcement that you saw earlier. If I didn't know the name of the site that I want to go to and I just typed in call space Brady, then it's going to do Google results. And when I scroll down, I'm going to find Call Brady Computer Services, where I can click on that. But that's the thing that I encourage you to do. If I ever do a remote session with you, I tell people to go to join.zoho.com. And what I have a lot of folks do, a lot of you might have the MSN homepage set to be your primary homepage. And so when I say go to join.zoho.com, a lot of folks type it in down here. Well, what happens when you type it in down there with Bing is you get Bing results. And then folks will ask me, well, which one do I click on? Just save yourself the step, click up in the address bar when you know the address you're going to go to, and then it'll take you directly to the correct page. So I hope that helps. And again, let me show you a couple of other settings here. And these settings, how you change these settings is a little bit different in Chrome and Edge and all these different browsers. But let's say that you didn't want Google to be your homepage. So right now, this is the Google homepage, and you'll notice that because I'm using Chrome, it's actually showing me some of the recent websites I've been to, Call Brady Computer Services, MSN, Zoho. These all get overwritten over time by the sites that you go to most. So these may change for you. But what I want to show you is up here in the top right corner, we have 3 dots. If I click on those 3 dots, and I see now that I'm kind of getting blocked by, let's see here. I tell you what you may need to do if you're looking at this the same way I am right now. You may see everybody's little pictures on the right side of your screen. If you look up in the top left corner of all the pictures, you're going to see a small, the left icon is a little dash. If you click on that, it's going to minimize all those thumbnails of everybody else who's watching, so you can make sure that you can see everything on the screen. So I'm going to minimize everybody for just a moment. When I click on these 3 dots, I get a lot of different options. but the one I'm going to come down to is the one that says settings. When I click on settings, I can scroll down, and there's two primary settings I want to take a look at. One is what's listed as my search engine. Now, I prefer my search engine to always be Google. There are some other good ones. Some people who are concerned about privacy with Google. Personally, I'm not, but some people are. There's search engines out there called DuckDuckGo, which is a popular one for search, for privacy-related search. Bing, some people like. I never can find the results I'm looking for in Bing. So I like this to be Google. Some folks I'll sit down with and they'll have something that they've never heard of and I've never heard of. And as a result of that, if they're using a search engine that's not a popular one, you may actually be redirected to sites that aren't in your best interest to go to. So I like to come down here to where it shows search engine, make sure that that says Google. If it shows anything else, you should be able to click on the drop down and select Google. If I scroll down just a little bit further, just before I get to the bottom of the screen where this advanced option is, then I'm going to see on startup, and I'm going to have three different options. Open the new tab page, which is what we were looking at before, that had the Google search bar and then the most recent sites I've visited. I'll see continue where you left off, which basically means if I'm on callbrady.com and I close my browser and I put my computer away for a week, when I turn my computer back on, it's going to come back to callbrady.com. So it's going to pick up wherever it was that we last were on the web. I'm not a big fan of this setting. If you ever run into a problematic website, sometimes it's hard to get out of it if every time you restart the computer or reopen Chrome, if it always comes back to the same place where you were having a problem in the first place. So the one I typically will set it to is open a specific page or set of pages. And from there, I could click add a new page. And from there, if I wanted, let's say I just wanted the basic google.com website, I could just type in www.google.com. Some folks prefer to have a news website, so they might type in cnn.com, foxnews.com. Some folks love their online shopping, so they're just going to go straight to amazon.com. Whatever it is, you can type it in here, click add. Now, the next time I close Chrome and reopen it, it's going to take me to that particular homepage. Now, I'm going to take just a moment, take a look up here and see if there were any questions that have come in. I'm not, let's see here, not seeing any questions at the moment, so I'm going to just keep on going for a moment. The other thing we're going to notice when we're in Chrome, and this is true in most of the browsers, is that up at the top of the screen, I see this tab for Amazon.com, okay? Picture opening up an old-fashioned filing cabinet, and you had folders that were tabbed in different places. One would have the tab on the left side, that some of the folders would have a tab in the middle, and some would have a tab on the right. And so it made it easier to kind of look through things. If I drag my mouse over here just to the right of this existing tab, then I can click on the plus, and now I've got a new tab. It did not close my Amazon window, but it just brought it up as a separate window. So now I can be on the Call Brady Computer Services website, and I can get back over to Amazon. What if I wanted to open up another one? Again, just come over here to the right, and it looks like you may not be seeing, but I'm just to the right of where it says Call Brady Computer Services, and I'm clicking on that plus, and I get another tab. Now, the more tabs you have open, the slower your computer may perform. I've been to places people's homes and businesses where they've said, you know, all of a sudden my browser just isn't working or isn't working very well. And it turns out they've had maybe 20 to 30 tabs open at the same time, and they just hadn't taken the time to close them. So I'm only going to keep tabs open for sites that I know I want to go back to exactly how they are right now. But other than that, I'm going to come, notice when, if I come up here to Amazon, I can hover over this little X, click it, and it's going to close just the Amazon tab. If I come over here to Call Brady Computer Services and I click the X, it's going to close just that tab. If I had all these different tabs open and I wanted to close everything, then I'm going to come up here to this X for the program, this X in the top right corner of the screen, and I'll click that and it'll close Chrome altogether. Okay. The last thing I want to cover at this point is favorites or bookmarks. And again, I'm going to stick with Chrome. There are ways to do what we're about to cover in Internet Explorer and Edge and Opera, all the different browsers that are out there. But I'm going to show it to you here in this particular program. If I click one more time, I'm going to click these three dots. I'm going to come down here to where it says bookmarks. And I'm going to select this option that says Show Bookmarks Bar. This little bar is now showing up, this little bar just below the address bar. And so let's say that there are websites that I go to every single day. Maybe Amazon is one of them. So what I'm going to do with Amazon is I'm going to click on this little icon that shows up to the left of Amazon. In this case, it's a padlock icon. I'm going to click that padlock icon and I'm just going to drag it. Now at this point, I'm clicking, I'm holding down the mouse, I've pulled the icon down here, and you can see that it's kind of showing me a preview of what it's going to do when I drop it. But if I drop that right here, now I have a shortcut or a bookmark. Now I can go to another website, callbrady.com. And on callbrady.com, it doesn't show a padlock icon. As a matter of fact, it shows this not secure, which may seem, may make some people concerned. What this basically means is I don't have something called an SSL certificate for my site. SSL certificates are really only going to be important if you are going to buy something. If you're going to be entering in your information into a site, such as credit card information, then don't do it if it says not secure up here. Since I don't collect that kind of information on my website, then mine says not secure. But still, I look to the icon that's to the left of the website address, and I can just click and drag that. And it drops the icon right down here. I'm going to do one more now that we have two on the bar already. And I'm just going to pick, let's say I wanted to pick Bing.com. When I drag this third one down here, again, I clicked on the padlock, start to drag it down here. I can bring it over here to anywhere in this space that's left on the edge of the bar, and it's going to drop it to the right of Call Brady Computer Services. Or I can start to bring it over here more towards the middle. And normally we should see a little bar here pop up that shows me where it's going to drop it. But I can rearrange these at any time. There's that bar I was talking about. So see how it has a bar in between Amazon and Call Brady that shows me where I'm about to drop it. And so I can sit here and move things around to whatever order I want them to be in. Now, obviously, you only have so much space on this bar before you're going to run out of space. So if you only want to put up here maybe 5 websites, that's fine, not a problem. I'm going to add one more just for fun. Bank of Travelers Rest. I love Bank of Travelers Rest, great people over there. I'm going to go ahead and drag that one down here as well. So this is a good example of a site that, based on the icon that they gave me, I can't really tell what that's a link to unless I just happen to recognize that tiny little icon for Bank of Travelers Rest. So what I can do here is I can right-click on any one of these shortcuts, and I can select the option that says Edit. And all I'm going to do now, you'll notice that the name as it shows up in the bar up there is what's highlighted. I'm just going to start typing. And because it's highlighted in blue, it means whatever I type is going to replace that. So I can type in BOTR and hit save. And now it takes up a lot less space on the bar, and it tells me exactly what that icon is going to go to. Let's say that I didn't need to see Call Brady Computer Services. I could just right click on that, say edit, and I could just say Call Brady. Again, takes up a lot less space. Bing, okay, they did well. I like that. It's very basic, shows you exactly what you're looking for. Amazon.com online, and it kind of gets cut off from there. So again, I don't need to see all that. I can right click and select edit, and I'm just going to type in Amazon. Hit save, and now these 4 that were probably taking up almost half of my toolbar now take up closer to a quarter of the toolbar. But they still take me to the exact same places, so I can bounce around very easily between all these sites. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left, and what I'm going to ask at this point, I'm going to bring back up so I can see your faces again, because they were off my screen for a few minutes. But what I'd like to ask is what questions you may have at this point. And if you can, if there's a question that you have, feel free to type it into the little chat window there. If it's something I feel like I can answer, that I can do justice to in the time that we have left, I will. And if not, then I'll make a note of it so that we can possibly include it next week. Cindy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The next meeting that I'm going to aim to do is going to be Monday. And I'm going to aim for 4 o'clock again. What I would encourage you to do, if you haven't already, is if you click on, if you pull up my website, which we did a few minutes ago, I'm going to pull it up one more time here. And I need to set my website so it doesn't show this message every single time you pull up this site. Let's see here. So once you get to my website, there's this little option right here that's called Senior Training. If you click on that, there is an option to subscribe. Every one of these meetings I'm going to do, I'm going to send out an email to this list. So if you found out about today's meeting because you got an email from me, then you're already on this list and you don't need to do anything. But if you did not get an email from me today, I would encourage you to come here and just fill this out. Also, if you have friends, family members, if you have anybody that you know that you think might benefit from this, I would encourage you to send them a link to this page, just callbrady.com/senior-training, and have them fill it out so that we can include them on future invites as well. I would really like to aim to do this hopefully at least once a week, maybe even a little bit more frequently than that. Let's see here. I do have a question here. When upgrade to Windows 10, how to delete Windows 7? So if you're currently on Windows 7, then that is just the operating system that exists on the computer itself. So an upgrade, unless you take a lot of extra steps, it's not going to leave Windows 7 on the system. It's just going to replace the Windows 7 with Windows 10. So I'm trying to think, there's a couple of different ways you might mean that. So if you are truly just upgrading an existing computer from Windows 7 to Windows 10, then once that process is done, Windows 10 is the only operating system that is actually left for you. If you had a Windows 7 computer, you replaced that computer with a Windows 10 computer, then there are some things we can do to either wipe the hard drive out completely to help protect the data that's on it. Some folks will actually we can actually take the hard drive out of the computer. You can store that, keep it safe. That way, in the event years down the road, you find, oh, there was a file I actually needed from that old computer, we can actually still connect that old hard drive to another system so we can get data from it. There's a lot of different options that we can do there. But if I'm understanding your question correctly, how to delete the Windows 7, it's just once you do the upgrade, then it's all done. Nothing extra you have to do to get rid of the Windows 7. I do encourage you, again, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning of the meeting or at the beginning of the call, I do encourage you, send me an email. Let me know what you got out of this, what was helpful, what wasn't helpful. Is this a good format for us to teach in? And certainly let me know what questions you'd like me to cover for next week. I'm not going to get into in-depth technical on these calls. I want to aim it to where it's information that everybody can benefit from and that will make sense for everybody. So let's see here. I don't see any more questions. And again, if I'm missing questions, oh, I did get one more. Okay. So I certainly would love to get an email from you. Let me know what you think. Once I do post out information for the next one, I'll post it by email to this group, but also on my Facebook page for Call Brady Computer Services. There's also a Facebook page for senior training that I'm going to put it out on. So I do encourage you, if you have folks that you could share it with, I'd really appreciate that. We have, looks like, total of 12 participants in this meeting. I'd love to see that number continue to grow, and let's just all work together during these strange and bizarre times that we're in right now. Hope you all keep safe. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you out. Again, we are available. Wendy and I are both available for remote sessions. We can help you out, and really look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much.